The Sam Spade show, when after a while, I think about the second year, I got involved with the Red Skelton show.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't stay there to do the Sam Spade show. So I would have to put our dear little opening scene and our closing scene on record, and we would put that on during rehearsal, and then I'd go and do the Red Skelton show. So I really wasn't there for the actual showing. They would just put my part on.
Uh-huh. In other words, when the show...
We would start to rehearse the Spade show at 10 in the morning. Then I think we went on at 5 to 5:30 here, and then probably later repeat, transcription record repeat. So about 2, I had to go over to the Skelton show. So between 1 and 2, and the others were sent out to lunch, Howard would stay there with me, and we would tape my opening and closing stuff. And I have those. I bought those little records, so I have them. I love to hear Effie and Sam. Oh, they're the most adorable love scenes ever written in the history of show business, I think.
Sam Spade, Howard Duff, remembers the license number of his car.
37596.
You can't forget it either.
No, sir.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective, brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil, again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
It's me, sweetheart. Risen from not one, but 2 deathbeds.
Oh, Sam, I bet not. You wouldn't take that lying down.
Oh, Effie, you made a joke.
Well, you did first, Sam.
I did not.
Oh, you mean you actually
Now, don't pin me down. Anyway, I was present at 2 dying declarations. Would you believe, Effie, that a man could say something that wasn't true at a time like that?
Oh, no. You mean a man would be lying on his deathbed?
Oh, Effie, you made a joke.
Oh, Sam, now stop it. I don't know what
It's
you
all
mean.
right, Effie. I forgive you. You can atone by telling me how wonderful you think I am.
I think you're...
That you may do when I arrive in a trice to dictate my report on the deathbed caper.
Dashiell Hammett, America's leading detective fiction writer and creator of Sam Spade, the hard-boiled private eye, and William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, join their talents to make your hair stand on end with the Adventures of Sam Spade. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair. Tell me, mister, how many times a day do you have to comb your hair?
The radio networks opened the fall of 1947 with a sense that history was in the making. Nearly 11 million babies had been born in the U.S. since the end of World War II. Movie attendance bombed as young parents stayed home with their children. Homes with radios jumped 6%, car radios 29%. It would prove to be the highest rated season in radio history. Network revenue topped $200 million. Spade opened the season running almost neck and neck with Bergen. Although Bergen averaged a 21.5 rating in October, Spade's rating jumped to 19.2.
Sam Spade.
Many brave hearts are asleep in the deep.
Oh, Sam, you're a sailor.
Captain Sam, is the brig for you. You got your logbook handy, gal?
Oh, yes, Captain.
So beware.
You make it, that's awful deep.
Date, June 20th, 1948. Where?
Oh, Sam.
I have no shame. To Marin County Sheriff's Office, San Rafael, California. Attention, Deputy Woodington from Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, the deathbed caper. Dear Bill, the dawn came up like thunder out of Chinatown across the bay. In San Francisco, all we could see was fog. But on your side, it must have lifted briefly because somebody named Dan Starbuck managed to find his way to a phone booth, call me, and ask me to meet him at the 3rd Street Pier in Sausalito. I didn't see him when I first got there. I didn't even see the pier. was too foggy. But in the glow of the neon lights in front of the Viking saloon, I saw a man who seemed to be waiting for somebody. He was a big guy with a good face, but plenty of worry on it.
Mr. Spade?
Yeah, Mr. Starbuck?
Dan Starbuck. Come on down to the end of the pier. I'll explain as we go along. We gotta hurry.
You act hot. You wanted for something?
Well, not yet.
What's the caper?
Well, my brother's out there on his yacht, the Marguerite. He's dying. When he's dead, they may call it murder. I want to be there with a witness. That's you. In case he has anything to say about who did it.
Who did?
They think I did.
Did you?
Honestly, I don't know. It happened the night before last. I went out there to see him. We've hated each other for years. We've both been drinking, and we drank some more. Then there was a fight. I drew a blank somewhere. Next thing I knew, it was around midnight. I pulled myself together, went into his cabin. Gordon was lying there with his head all kicked. I realized I was covered with blood, and I was holding something in my hand, big glass paperweight. I dropped it. I got out of there fast and swam ashore. I planned to tell you a different story, but that's it. You want the job or not?
You think you'll make a deathbed statement that'll clear you, and you want me for a witness?
Yeah, that's it.
You got a lot of guts. I'm hired.
Good. Halverson? You down there? Halverson!
Who's Halverson?
He's a boatman. He'll row us out. Halverson? Hey, Nils?
Donnie?
Yeah. Is that you, Casino?
Sure. Can I do you some favor?
I want to go out to the Marguerite. I can't find Halverson anywhere.
Well, I guess I can take you. Are you sure that
I'm sure. Sam Spade, Del Casino. He's the bosun of the Marguerite.
Glad to meet you.
Sam.
Any friend of Danny's. Hey, listen, Danny, you sure you want to go out there?
Any reason why you shouldn't?
Well, it's up to him. In his place, I would be on a freighter for China, way out there where the fog is more thicker.
No, it's all right, Casino. I know what I'm doing.
Well, your friend, you excuse me, your name?
Spade.
Pardon me, I better ask. The police don't want you for nothing?
Not yet, but don't make book on it.
Push us clear, Danny.
All right.
This fog is closing in, but I can still see the lights from the Marguerite. I wish we don't find her.
But we did. She was wearing clam diggers, an off-the-shoulder T-shirt, and was leaning against the rail as the dinghy pulled past a police launch and nestled in under the ladder of the yacht.
Del? Del, is that you?
Yes, Miss Starbuck.
Who is that with you?
Keep quiet.
Del, what are they saying ashore about... Oh, I thought you...
You're Mrs. Starbuck?
Yes?
I'm Sam Spade. I'm from San Francisco. I'm a detective. Your brother-in-law's on the boat.
You captured him?
He wants to come aboard.
He wants to... Why?
He's hoping your husband will say something to clear him before he dies. Is there any reason why he shouldn't come aboard?
Oh, there's every reason in the world why he shouldn't. The police are in there with my husband right now.
Yeah?
The doctor says there's a possibility that he may regain consciousness long enough to make a dying declaration.
Mm-hmm.
If he's face to face with Dan, there's no telling what he'll say. I wish Dan wouldn't... My husband is dying.
Dan?
Yeah. What'd she say?
I don't know, but I think you better come aboard. He seemed almost delighted as he swung his weight up out of the dinghy and climbed the ladder. Del Casino, the bosun, followed, wearing a puzzled expression that turned to fear as we entered the cabin. The yellow glare from the lamp swinging overhead was almost blinding to walk into out of the foggy night. The first thing I focused on was the bunk that held the dying man. His head was heavily bandaged, his skin was chalk white, and his lips were beginning to turn blue. The room was tense with waiting. Ranged around him in a semicircle were the supporting players. 2 doctors, 1 family type with a nurse, 1 police medic without, 1 sheriff with cigar, 1 police stenographer, female with pencil and notebook poised, 9/10 of a widow, and us. At 18 minutes past 7, somebody moved. It was the dying man. The 2 doctors rushed forward, took his pulse and blood pressure.
Let's go. Adrenaline 3cc, chlorine 1, saline solution. All right, Sheriff, he's conscious now, but you'd better hurry.
Margaret. Mr. Starbuck, you can hear me all right? Take that down.
Can you hear me? Affirmative answer.
Now, Mr. Starbuck, we have to ask these questions. 1, what is your name? Please try to answer. What is your name?
Gordon M. Starr.
You got that?
What is your name? Gordon M. Starr.
That's close enough. Fill it in later. Now, Mr. Starbuck, where do you live? Where do you live?
I'm dead.
You got that? 1277 Marymount, Pasadena.
Hey.
Now, Mr. Starbuck, let's try a little harder. This is a long one. Have you been injured, and what was the cause of your injury?
Yes. Hurts like.
You got that?
Affirmative.
Now, the second part. What was the cause of your injury?
Head. Hit on the head.
Do you believe that you're about to die as a result of your injuries, and have you no hope of recovery?
I know. No hope.
Now let's get to the point. Who inflicted said injuries? Hey, Mr. Starbuck, please, you haven't much time, you know.
Go away.
Doc, is there anything you can do?
I'm afraid not.
Oh, this is ghastly. Can't you leave him alone? Can't you let him die in peace?
What are you afraid of, Maggie? What are you afraid he'll say?
All right. All right, tell them, Gordon. It was Dan that struck you, wasn't it? He was jealous. He always hated you for marrying me. It was Dan.
Now, Mrs. Starbuck, I know how you feel, but we can't allow this sort of thing. Please step aside so we can finish up here. Mr. Starbuck. Doctor?
Very low pulse. I'm not sure whether... Dan. Is Dan here?
Here I am, Gordon. Tell him the truth.
Do you identify this man, Mr. Starbuck?
Yes. He's my brother. Dan.
Yeah.
You got that, brother Dan?
He's the one.
He's lying. Gordon, you know who did it. Why don't you tell the truth? What do you got to lose now?
Nothing. I'm finished.
You got that?
You finished me.
Gordon! Gordon, not yet. Now come back. Doctor, can't you...
He's dead. Well...
Okay, Doc. Dennis Starbuck, it is my duty as sheriff of this county to take you into custody on suspicion of murder. And I must tell you that anything you say may be held against you. You'd better come along, too, Spade. Routine questioning, you know.
Okay, Sheriff.
And I don't think we'll need the handcuffs, will we, son?
No, I'll go with you.
Yes, indeed, son. It's always smart to come along quietly.
Yeah. But this is as far as I'm going.
Hey, Dan, come back here. Use your head. He only had one friend. He was the best friend in the world for a man on the land, the fog. The searchlights on the police launch spun frantically as the craft heeled around in a half circle to head him off. Instead of cutting the fog, the beams from the powerful lights bounced back from it and blinded the men behind them. After 10 minutes of that, they gave up. The sheriff had a theory.
Don't worry. Between the fog and the currents, I doubt if we'll make it. We'll probably recover the body in the morning.
And they did. But it wasn't Dan Starbuck's body. It was the bosun, Del Casino. And he was found in Richardson Bay, adrift in the dinghy from the Marguerite. Somebody had creased his skull with the same type blunt instrument that had been used on Gordon Starbuck. But Dell hadn't lived long enough to make a dying declaration.
The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, Sam Spade. Now, here's important news on good grooming. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead, socially and on the job, listen.
I think it was probably the first program of its kind that attempted to do something more than just the slam, bang, boom, boom. He was a character. He was a definite character who had a great eye for the girls. We'd always open the show. You could hear the bottles clinking and the thing, and he'd pour himself a snort, before he'd do his dictation to Effie. The whole attitude, I don't think, had ever been explored the way we did, the way that Bill really brought about, because this is his, believe me, his conception, and his production was impeccable, as I think you will agree, Ed. He paid a great deal of attention, not only to the stories, but and to what we said. What we said was terribly important. He had his big hero was Dickens. Did he ever tell you that?
No, I don't think he
did.
No,
he tried to get a Dickensian feeling about the interesting people that we had. He was he insisted.
And now back to Caper with Two Deathbeds. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
The police theory of the Del Casino killing went something like this. Casino had shoved off in the dinghy to join in the search for Dan Starbuck, had rescued him, and been maced for his pains. Also found in the dinghy, but not as yet worked into the police theory, were two items. One, a waterproof wallet containing the seaman's papers of one Nils Halverson. Two, a tattoo mark on the right bicep of the deceased. A small heart with a name in it, Maggie. The brand new widow of the same name was waiting in my office when I got there the following afternoon.
Hello.
Hello to you, Mrs. Starbuck. What can I do for you?
Mr. Spade, I know very little about the ethics of your profession, and... Well, are you still working for Danny?
If you mean, do I know where he is, the answer's no.
Oh. I hoped you'd say that.
Why?
Because I want you to work for me.
Need a new bosun?
You needn't have put it quite so crudely.
No, I needn't.
Since your work is confidential, I'll admit I've done a few things that... Well, it's all too true. My first mistake was marrying Gordon Starbuck when I didn't love him. And I should never have let myself fall in love with Dan. I certainly should have known better than to let Dell fall in love with me.
What about Nils Halverson?
And me? Well, hardly. No. Nils Halverson was employed by my husband for various odd jobs whenever we put in at Sausalito. Mostly he'd row the guests out to the ship. He rowed Danny out the night my husband was killed. At least I think he did. I didn't actually see him.
Where's Halverson now?
I don't know. He goes off on drunks for days at a time, but I have a feeling that someone has paid him to disappear. He might have overheard something.
Hold on a minute. You're going too fast. Are you, working up to a confession?
Oh, no. It's just that I'm afraid a great injustice may have been done to Danny. After all, Mr. Spade, a man who's dying, I don't see how he could be altogether in his right mind. Do you?
The law says he is if he knows his name and address. A deathbed accusation is the strongest evidence a lawyer can shove at a jury. You can't cross-examine a dead man, and most people have the quaint idea that a man on his deathbed is a lot more truthful than he was when he was hale and hearty.
Then you think Gordon may have been lying?
Could be, or wool gathering, or picking up some of the lines you were feeding him.
Oh, I was just afraid he might die before he... You see, I thought I might shock him into saying yes or no. He could have said no, couldn't he?
Well, make up your mind.
Oh, all I know is it's on my conscience now. If we could find old Halverson and force him to tell what he knows. He's a very strange man. He's devoted to me. If the police find him before I do, he might refuse to talk out of a mistaken loyalty.
To you?
Well, I meant if he thought I had anything to do with the... Well, he's very strange. I told you that.
What makes you so sure he's alive?
Why wouldn't he be?
If I'd been the killer and he'd rode me to and from the scene of my crime, I'd see him secured in Davy Jones' locker. Fish feed, lobster bait, asleep in the deep.
Will you work for me?
I'll let you know. I didn't have time to get tattooed, but the rest of me was marinated enough. On my head, I was wearing a dirtied-up yachting cap, and the rest of me, I was wearing a pea jacket, dungarees, and sea boots. I was also wearing clamshell number 5 as I rolled up to the Viking saloon.
Well, what did it be, mate?
Akavit and water. Have you seen my cousin?
Your cousin? Who's your cousin, Prince Valiant?
No, my cousin Niels Halverson. Niels Halverson.
Oh, no. You're Neil's cousin, are you?
Yeah.
Well, coming from the old country?
Yeah, Minnesota. By you, Minnie.
Well, no, he'll be right glad to see you there.
Where fair is he?
I don't want to say this too loud.
Yeah.
Bend over there.
Yeah.
He's in trouble, you know.
Oh.
Yes, I got him holed up down below.
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
Well, by golly, I sure been glad to be going to see my cousin Niels. Niels Halverson.
Drop the act and get down there.
Hey!
Okay, Joe, I'll take over from here.
Easy.
Okay, Danny, my boy. I got his gun. But watch him now, watch him. He's full of smorgasbord.
Well, Spade, you're the one person I didn't expect to see, but I'm very glad to.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't found you. I wanted to find somebody else first.
Halverson?
Yeah.
He's here. Want to see him?
That's what I came for.
And under here. Watch your head, low bridge.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Where?
A boathouse under the pier. Halverson used to hole in here to sleep off his schnapps.
Where's he now?
Over here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's going to be a long time sleeping this one off.
He'd been missing since that night. Nobody knew he was here till last night. I headed for the saloon when I swam ashore. Joe hid me out here. He could still talk then.
What'd he say?
I wrote it down here. But it's no help.
Let's see it.
Well, it's just a jumble of words.
Marguerite. Merry Christmas drink. My beautiful Helga. Row your boat. Now throw me back. Row me back. $20 good and drunk. Fog rolling in. Good and drunk. Gonna be 5 days, no business. Oh, my head. Paint the boat.
All crazy stuff.
$20. Did you give him $20 to row you
I
out?
didn't even see him. I swam out. My loving brother wouldn't have let me on board if he'd heard me arriving like a gentleman.
$20. Did you frisk him?
No.
I'll have a look. Oh, I don't... Hey, wait. Uh-huh. Real soggy, but a 20.
I don't care. I'm sticking to my story. I swam out there. I didn't give him that 20.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't.
Well, you gotta believe me. I didn't even have $20. That's why I got...
Shut up.
What's the matter with you? What are you gonna do?
Come over here, Dan.
What?
I don't believe a word of your story, and even if I did, it wouldn't make any difference.
What are you...
Shut up. You're gonna stop talking and listen for a while. I stuffed a gag into his mouth and muscled him over to a piling and handcuffed him to it. He didn't even look surprised. He just stood there staring at me as if he'd lost his last friend in the world. But I wasn't looking at him as much as I was listening to those footsteps in the boards overhead. I waited for them to come back. They did. I walked across the soggy planks to where Nils Halverson lay in the shadows. Nils, I want you to answer these questions again. Now, this time, I'm going to take them down. You get lots of $20 and lots of drink. Now then, I know you don't feel so good. You don't have to talk if you don't feel like it. Just nod your head for yes and shake it for no. Okay, Nils? That counts in a court of law as long as there's a witness. Okay. Now, your name is Nils Halverson. Your address is 213 Bayview, Sausalito. That's correct, is it? Nod your head. Good. Good. That proves you're in your right mind. You know you were injured. Yeah. You know the cause of your injury. Hit on the head and thrown over the side of your boat. What? Huh? Not from... Oh, dinghy. Well, it's the same thing. All right. Now, you know you're dying. You have no hope of recovery. That's obvious, but nod your head. That's the boy. Now, Nils, on the night of the 18th, around 10 o'clock, after your usual working hours, you rowed somebody out to the yacht Marguerite, in return for which this person gave you a $20 bill. This person is also the person who killed, who inflicted your fatal injuries. It is. Now, the name of that person, if you can possibly speak even in a whisper, so there can be no mistake. Can you hear me? Just say it close to my ear. Yeah? Yes. Yes, I got it. That's all. Now, I know you don't write, Nils, but make your mark here. Come on, I'll guide your hand. There. Now we're going to take... Nils. Nils, Well, anyway. All right, Maggie, come on in and join the party. Don't try anything. The light's on you. I'm a better shot than you, and if there's a ruckus, the whole saloon will be down on us. They're all friends of Danny's, too. Stop there. Toss the gun. Okay. What's the matter, Angel? You look kind of scared.
No. Just disappointed, that's all.
Don't give up so easy, sweetheart. I always wanted to take a trip around the world.
We might go on the Marguerite. Together.
Yeah, sailing into the sunset, sleeping with our deathbed statements under each other's pillows.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess it wouldn't work. How much for yours, and what do we do about him?
Dan? I'll take care of that. Throw it in with a deal.
Okay. But I want it in writing. A little statement to the effect that I can keep under my pillow.
Fair enough. Now, all I want from you is a little statement from you to this effect. That you, Marguerite Starbuck, employed Nils Halverson to row you out to the yacht on the night of the 18th, that you there overheard a quarrel between your husband and brother-in-law, and that taking advantage of said brother-in-law's inebriated condition, you sneaked up behind your husband, hit him with a paperweight, and decamped, leaving the murder weapon in Dan's hand. You then started back for shore in the dinghy, and realizing that the only witness who could testify you were aboard that night...
All right, I'll sign it.
Okay.
We'll have plenty of time to put in all the legal decorations later.
I'm afraid we won't, baby. You're going to be spending all your available time at the Tehachapi and points west.
What are you talking about?
You just made a full confession in front of a witness. You heard it, didn't you, Dan?
Every word.
Oh, if I... Honest. An honest man.
Well, I did tell a fib. Now, this is really going to hurt, I'm afraid, Maggie. You see, we didn't actually have any deathbed statement to match yours.
No?
No. Nils Halverson was a good deal too dead to have made a deathbed statement just now. He's been stiff for 12 hours. Period, and a report.
Well, Sam, I'll type this right up because then I'm leaving.
Wait a minute, Effie. I had to do it that way. Don't you understand?
Of course, Sam, I quite understand.
But you object, huh? A cruel, ruthless, murdering, though beautiful woman, foiled by a clever ruse, a great acting performance by the greatest private detective of them all.
Is that all?
You're still leaving?
Yes, Sam, my bags are packed.
Well, pardon me for having feet.
After struggling in its first season on CBS, The Adventures of Sam Spade jumped into Sunday night's top 10. Although Edgar, Bergen, and Charlie McCarthy won their time slot, Spade's rating peaked in January of 1948 with a 22.6. Roughly 20 million people were tuning in each week. On Sunday, June 20th, 1948, Spade got involved in the deathbed caper. During the time of the year when radio audiences were noticeably smaller thanks to summer activities, Spade still had roughly 12 million listeners. The deathbed caper featured Hollywood radio legends William Conrad, Elliott Reed, Lou Krugman, Kathy Lewis, and Elliott Lewis, who by 1948 was acting and script editing all over the dial.
Well, I remember a Sunday. Remember John Nesbitt's Passing Parade?
Oh, sure.
Well, we used to do the Benny Show from that studio on Melrose that I described, from 4 to 4:30 to the east. And Nesbitt's Passing Parade was at CBS, which is 8.5 blocks away, from 4:30 to 5. I was on both shows one week. It never occurred to me that my car wouldn't start, that I might have an accident, that I, in one script, had a part where I was playing the mully, and I was going to drive during closing commercial, system cue, and opening commercial on the Nesbitt Show to CBS to walk in and play Dr. Semmelweis, the man who discovered and cured childbed fever. Never occurred to me that there was a problem, that there might be a problem, that it was impossible. When you're young and stupid, you can do almost anything. You know, something is only dangerous and foolhardy and could be difficult if you have the brains to know it. If you don't know it, you just go ahead and do it. So I suppose when I was doing Remley, I was doing Remley. You do Remley, and when I picked up the script on Suspense to work with Judy, then I'm playing that kind of a guy.
There's There's a reason, men. In fact, there are 5 big reasons why more men every day are turning to Wild Root Cream Oil for well-groomed hair. Wild Root Cream Oil grooms your hair neatly and naturally. Wild Root Cream Oil relieves dryness and removes loose dandruff. Wild Root Cream Oil is non-alcoholic and contains soothing lanolin. 5 big reasons why you, too, should join the millions with handsome, well-groomed hair. Why you should step up to your drug or toilet goods counter and ask for Wild Root Cream Oil. Get the big economy bottle and the handy new tube that's easy to pack when you travel and just right for the office or plant. Also, ask your barber for a professional application of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Well, here it is, Sam. Goodbye.
Now, wait a minute, Effie. You can't leave like this, not without...
Oh, all right. I'll talk to you while I'm putting my hat on.
Well, can't you at least look at me? After all, you should give me a chance to justify...
Sam, apparently you're laboring under an apprehension.
Of course I am.
Oh, boy, am I glad I picked the last in June and the first in July.
What are you talking about?
My vacation.
Vacation? You just had a vacation a few months back.
12, Sam. That's a year.
Well, if you want to take advantage of a legal technicality...
No, Sam, don't say goodbye, man.
Well, it's customary, I suppose. It's lucky that some of us keep our nose to the grindstone, our ear to the ground, an eye to the future.
Huh?
Television's just around the corner, you know.
Oh, Sam.
Come here, sweetheart. You look lovely in it. Come here. Have a wonderful time.
Oh, Sam. Oh, Sam.
Come here. Now, go on. You missed your train. Where are you going?
The Los Sierras.
Well, just so you don't go to Kanab, Utah.
All right, Sam. You know best. Good night.
Good night, Sierra Sue. Now, who can we get for that part next week?
For Bill Spear, Sam Spade was a welcome change of pace.
Adventures of Sam Spade.
When, suspense was in its great era, which was roughly 1946 up through about 1953, was when they were attracting major Hollywood stars to that show. The Hollywood stars would come in and they would be very nervous with Bill Spear because, from what I've heard, he didn't encourage a lot of rehearsing and wouldn't even allow it because he wanted them to be spontaneous and fresh on the air.
Well, he certainly had that with the cast of Sam Spade, but they were pros, the best pros you could find. And most of them worked for scale, which was under $100 in those days, but they did it for love as much as anything else.
You know, he used to say such a cute thing. I used to ask questions on the show,
Mm-hmm.
On the rehearsal, for real. Because I'm always saying, I don't understand this plot. I would always say to somebody, Howard or Bill Spear or somebody, I don't understand this plot. So they got to say, down, Effie. Down, Effie. And that's how that phrase got started. It was a real thing, Shut up, Effie.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
While Effie Perrine got her summer vacation, The Adventures of Sam Spade kept broadcasting right through to the fall. Joe Eisinger had departed from the writing team in March of 1947. Gil Dow joined Bob Tallman until 1949, when writers like John Michael Hayes and E. Jack Newman came in.
There was one marathon situation that came up, about in April. Now remember, programs were on the air then every week of the year. And Bill came to John Michael and I and said that they were planning on taking 3 months off and going to Europe and everywhere else for the summer. And could we and would we supply them with scripts for that time so that they could transcribe them and play them for that 13 weeks? I think we were paid $500 a script. Of course, that meant we had to write. At one point, we were writing 1 script a day. 1 for the broadcast, 2 for the transcription, plus a suspense, and so on. But I remember for 1 month there, we wrote 7 scripts a week between us.
Wow.
I remember at that time we wrote all those scripts and they transcribed them and they were ready to play and everything happened, but we didn't get our money.
How come? Well, why did
the way they ran that corporation at the time? It was the Regis Radio Corporation, now defunct, long defunct. And I remember we were chasing them all over the New York City and environments trying to get our money for the program.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective. Brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil, again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Office of Samuel Spade, Private Investigations. Good morning. Evening.
Effie?
Miss Perrine is on a vacation. Perhaps I may be of assistance, no doubt.
I don't know. To whom am I speaking to?
I am sorry. I cannot divulge that information to an entire stranger. May I take a message?
Look, Miss whoever you are, I don't want to discommode you, but
I am sorry, but I will have to ask you in no certain terms to resist from this line you are handing me. I am not the type secretary.
Forget it. I'll just call Miss Perrine long distance and dictate my report over the phone.
Oh, my stars and garter, how utterly gouch of me, Mr. Spade. Oh, I'm Bernadine, Effie's relief. Yours.
I could use some.
Oh, shall I send out for some medicine?
Yeah. The phone number's on the wall behind the water cooler. Tell them the 100 proof, bonded, and hang the expense. I'll be right down to dictate my report on the bail bond caper.
Dashiell Hammett, America's leading detective fiction writer and creator of Sam Spade, the hard-boiled private eye, and William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, join their talents to make your hair stand on end with the Adventures of Sam Spade. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair. Only 3 days left, gals, and June, the month of weddings, will be over. But don't worry, there are still 187 days left in leap year. Still time to snag the man of your dreams. You know, the one who uses Wild Root Cream Oil on his hair. He and millions of other men use Wild Root Cream Oil daily because Wild Root Cream Oil grooms the hair so neatly and naturally, relieves dryness, and removes loose dandruff. Any smart man who wants to look smart always insists on Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. And now, with Howard Duff starring as Spade, Wild Root brings to the air the greatest private detective of them all in the Adventures of Sam Spade.
You are Mr. Spade. You just gotta be.
Yes, but why?
It was fate. I knew it was going to be like this.
I had my qualms, too, Bernadine.
Oh, that's good. I sent the other back.
The other what?
I called that number, but it was euphonious. They sent whiskey. Is something the matter?
No, nothing at all. I'm perfectly calm.
Well, I'm glad. My previous employer was very nervous, which is why I just happened to be tentatively at large when Effie reproached me about being a relief to her.
Figures. Bernadine, now I'm not being fresh. Honestly, I'm not. But do you take shorthand?
Yeah, but I don't speak it.
What is that you speak? Don't answer. Ready?
Rodney. I mean Roger.
Date.
I'll have to ask my mother.
Down, Bernadine. Date June 27, 1948, to Miss Effie Perrine, care of Perry's Lodge, Kanab, the Pearl of the West, Utah.
What?
Oh, wrong letter. I'll get to that later. Date June 27, 1948, to Leo M. Scarlett, care of Leaf, Branch, Root, Knox and Wood, attorneys at law, 333 Pine Street, San Francisco, from Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, the bail bond caper. Dear Leo, I'm sorry things turned out the way they did, Leo, and I'd like you to know how I got into it. It wasn't for the reward. I don't take rewards. I'm not in love with your wife, no matter what she says, and I wasn't sore at you about anything. I was just sitting in my office, minding my own business, when the door opened, and Vivian walked in. She looked every bit as beautiful as she did when she lived under me in Ma Tuttle's boarding house in 41. In fact, I didn't recognize her until she slithered out of her mink.
Hello, Sam. Surprised to see me?
Yeah, but I'm trying not to show it. What's on your mind?
Is that all you've got to say to me, Sam?
Well, you're here on business, aren't you?
All right, I don't blame you. It all happened pretty sudden, Leo and me. I should have written or phoned you, I suppose, but somehow...
Forget it, Vivian. Now, what do you need a detective for? You, thinking of divorce already?
Oh, please don't, Sam. If it was a mistake, I'm the one who has to live with it, and I made up my mind when I married Leo. This time it's for keeps. No matter what.
Mm-hmm. What's the what?
He's in trouble, Sam.
Well, that's nothing new.
Well, this time I don't think it's his fault. When Leo went legit, he meant it.
What's he say he's doing now?
He's a bail bond broker.
Judging from your new look, I'd say he's a success.
Sam, a man called him on the phone today. I answered. He said his name was Holliday, but I recognized his voice. It was an old friend of Leo's, Charlie Rosenfoy.
Charlie, huh? When did he get out?
A couple weeks back. He was paroled. I don't know what he said over the phone, but Leo looked scared and sick.
I don't wonder. The word around town was that Charlie took the rap for Leo.
And I don't know anything about that. All I know is Leo's on the level now, and Charlie never will be. He did plenty on his own during that time he served.
Well, I won't argue that, but from where I sit, it looks like Leo better start wearing a gun again.
He has. That's what I'm so frantic about, Sam.
You hear any of the conversation from Leo's end?
He didn't say much. But I did hear him say, "All right, 10 tonight. I'll meet you there."
That wasn't very smart of him.
I know, but that's the way he is.
It might be only for a payoff.
I thought of that, too. But Leo hasn't got that kind of money. He's been dropping a lot at the racetracks lately. And even if he had it, he's not the type to pay blackmail.
I don't like it. Why should I stick my neck out? Why did you have to come to me anyway?
'Cause I trust you, Sam. I know you were jealous of Leo.
I was?
Sam, if we ever meant anything... If you meant half the things you said to me when we were...
Stop it. That's blackmail.
Oh, I feel so lost and alone. I don't know where to turn.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, Sam, I'll make it up to you somehow. You see if I don't.
Sure you will. And tell Leo to stop dropping his money at Tan Ferran. This is going to cost them plenty.
Sandra Gould played the new secretary, Bernadine. Mary Jane Croft was Vivian.
I don't ever remember. I think the first job I ever got was... Do you remember doing Screen Guild when Bobby Lee and Jimmy O'Neill, they conducted, Bob Lee is a big famous writer now, as you all know, but he and Jim O'Neill conducted ad libs. In other words, they didn't have crowd records at that time. So we all sat in chairs. Then the director would cue Bob, and then Bob would have everybody would talk and do rhubarb and Walla Walla and all that stuff.
You weren't allowed to say Walla Walla.
No, I don't remember what we said.
What did you say?
We
got
thrown out if you said Walla Walla. Yeah, we had to really talk. We just worked constantly, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Vivian had said that your rendezvous with Charlie was scheduled for 10 in the p.m. and that you were too upset to go to work that day, so you'd be at home, 1246 Dunbar. I took a plant in your apartment building from a sleepy lagoon-type cocktail bar across the street called, you guessed it, the Sweet Leilani. Your wife joined me, and after a while, we got around to talking. At least she did.
I bet you can't guess what I'm thinking about.
Huh?
Listen, Sam. You remember that night we drove to the Half Moon...
Bay.
Oh, you do remember. Oh, we used to do the craziest things. I should have married you, Sam.
Please, not while I'm drinking.
You know what? The trouble with crooks... They have to work day and night.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not listening.
No, but everybody else in the place is.
Let's talk about you, Sam. Did I ever tell you how I met Leo?
No, and please don't.
And then he opened a bucket shop. You know what a bucket shop is?
Yeah.
It's stockbrokerage. Yeah, that's right. Only it's crooked. That was the first business Leo started when he went legit.
Mm-hmm.
He had to shut it down on account of those securities. Somebody was always stealing out of the safe.
Were they insured?
Yeah, but they wouldn't renew his policy. So after the second nightclub burned down and he couldn't get any insurance at all, even on his own life. That's why I'm so frantic, Sam. Hey, give me a nickel. I want to play Sweet Leilani.
50 nickels, and 2 hours later, Sweet Leilani broke under the strain, so we had Princess Papuli to leave, and that gave out, and were starting on the Hawaiian war chant when she disappeared through a door marked Wahini's, Hawaiian for powder room, and never came back. Around 9:45, I mumbled something to the bartender about the lady will pay, put on my smoked glasses, and strolled out and across the street. You came out of the building a couple of minutes later. You led me a zigzag course up Merchant Street to Salon, across Salon to Commercial, down Commercial to Drum, and made a lateral pass over Drum back to Dunbar. Your destination, I'd never have guessed it, was the Sweet Leilani. Happily, they were not playing Sweet Leilani. It was very, very quiet. The regular customers had taken a powder, and I didn't blame them. In the new crop at the bar, I counted 10 broken noses, at least 5 broken paroles, assorted knife scars, and 4 pairs of cauliflower ears, and 1 maverick. You slid into a booth at the end of the bar, took the gun out of your shoulder holster, and laid it down on the table in front of you. I walked over, turned it around so it was pointing at the jukebox instead of me, and sat down.
Some other time, Spade. Some other time I drink with you. I'm waiting for a friend.
Why the gun? You selling it to him?
Maybe I give it to him. Go on, you drink at the bar.
It's kind of crowded. Looks like Charlie Rosenfoy's old mob. Who are they gunning for? You or Charlie?
Why don't you ask them?
What are you drinking, Leo?
I was with that bottle all day. Got a bad taste. Do me a favor, Spade. There's a bar 2 doors down the street. Go drink there. There's my friend coming in the door.
Any friend of yours is a friend of mine, Leo.
Look, Spade.
Hello, Leo. What's the matter? You bring a bodyguard to meet your old friend Charlie?
This shamus threw his weight in here. I didn't ask him. I don't need him.
Huh. That sounds like the old Leo Scarlatti I used to
The
know.
name is Scarlet.
Oh, pardon me. I've been on the rock for so long, it's hard to catch up on all the changes.
There's been a war, Charlie. Anyone tipped you to it yet?
You got a smart bodyguard, Leo.
Let's talk. Let's go somewhere else and talk.
I like it here.
Okay, we start. How come you tipped the mob we were coming here? You promised you wouldn't.
Like the shamus, they got to drink somewhere.
All right, say what's in your mind and I'll go.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I think I'll do my drinking at the bar. Both of your guns were on the table. It didn't look as though you were going to use them on one another, and I figured that neither of you was going to do much talking in front of me anyway, so I strolled back to the end of the bar to look at the television. The 10 o'clock news roundup was on, and the ticker tape that was moving across the screen said ... in Atlantic City today, period. I ordered a highball, and then the ticker tape started again. This time it said San Francisco, $1 million bail bond robbery. $1 million in negotiable bonds is tonight in the hands of a group of daring hold-up men who commandeered an armored truck at the very portals of the police department in the Hall of Justice. Then it said, this concludes the 10 o'clock edition of the television news roundup. I had a slight hunch that if the television boys had had their cameras on the big bail bond robbery, that at least some of the characters would have been played by at least some of the bad actors that were foregathered in the Sweet Leilani. In fact, what you and Charlie were saying and doing when I walked back to your booth was almost too much to the point. You let me see the bulky portfolio Charlie shoved across the table at you. It looked like a carrying case for bonds, bank messenger type. But it was sealed with wax blobs bearing the imprint of the Great Seal of the state of California. I was impressed.
Where'd you get this?
You can read about it in the papers, and if I was you, I'd get this out of sight before them papers hit the street. One thing more. Don't try to clip none of them coupons. And one thing more in addition. Don't open it at all.
Sure. Spade?
Yeah, Leon?
I think I hire you after all.
I took the job, and you handed me the portfolio. Outside, we flagged the taxi, and you gave the driver an address on Portsmouth Square. Your office, I hate to remind you, was behind one of a bunch of neon-lighted storefronts across from the Hall of Justice. The sign on the door said, press the button and let freedom ring any hour, day or night. The only bell in sight was a stop-press-type burglar alarm. You unlocked the door and we went in. You paused in front of a big green safe with a combination lock and started twirling the knob. The tumblers clicked into place. I picked up an inkwell and waited for the safe to open.
All right, Spade, give me it.
I did, with both hands. With my left, I handed you the portfolio, and with my right, I pitched the inkwell at a well-wired slab of plate glass window. When the burglar alarm went into action, so did you. You dropped everything and were out of the door and out of sight before you could say, "Let freedom ring." While I was waiting for the cops to arrive, I helped myself to a $500 bearer bond I found lying loose in your safe. I had a feeling I might be needing some bail myself.
The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, Sam Spade.